I'm a neurotic happy comic.
This is not meant to be funny.
But we called him the jerk.
I feel like you could change the pronunciation to Bacan.
Comedy bit without humor.
So here's your 3-star review.
Get me in the top 10!
You are the #1 podcast on Mongo.
I think I've proven the thing I said. Welcome to the show. I am that Chris Gore. This is PodCRASH. This is the show where you get to hear a different podcast each week in which I appear as a guest. It allows you to discover new shows, and it gives me the opportunity to talk about a variety of topics. This week I'm crashing a show called Hang Out With Me. It's a Myq Kaplan podcast. Myq Kaplan, of course, stand-up comedian. Myq, he spells his name M-Y-Q, which I think is a great unique spelling for Mike, because I know a lot of people named Mike. Mike is a very popular name in the city of Detroit, Michigan, where I'm from. My mom actually will call me Mike. She will call me Mike because there's so many people. Mike is a very popular name in Michigan, and I'm actually headed back to Michigan to the Blue Water Film Festival, where this weekend. Where I'll be doing stand-up comedy on Friday, September 27th at 9 p.m., doing a show as part of the Blue Water Film Festival. You can go to bluewaterfilmfestival.com for information. That's this Friday, September 27th. I'll be opening up for a very accomplished comedian, J. Chris Newberg, which is just a real honor for me. So this guy used to open for Dane Cook. Now I'm opening for J. Chris Newberg. That is going to be a real treat. Plus, I'll actually be at the film festival all weekend in Port Huron, Michigan, checking out indie movies, hanging out with filmmakers, and doing all visiting family. And a lot of people named Mike, that's for sure. But a bunch of stuff that's been going on with me lately. The boredom of being unemployed and then actually trying to transition a career from where I was into this new thing, which has proved to be something of a challenge. You know, if people think of you a certain way, they always kind of think of you that way. You know what I mean? And so when you're trying to move into another direction, it's not so easy. It's not so easy. So, but I am up for the challenge. And so speaking of that, I'm going to get back to that. Speaking of that, actually, another upcoming event that you want to know about is the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. If you're a fan of podcasts, and of course, you must be a fan of podcasts if you're listening to this show. Why wouldn't you be? You must be a fan of podcasts because you listen to a bunch of them. So through my show, well, if you live in Los Angeles, should attend the Los Angeles Podcast Festival, where you get to see a lot of your favorite podcasts live. You'll get to see seminars about podcasting. I'm actually doing a seminar. I'm doing a panel in which you can pitch your idea for a podcast, and myself and a bunch of other noted podcasteers will give their opinion about whether or not you have a good idea for a show, or maybe how to evolve that show into something that could be better. We're going to offer whatever advice we can. And as someone who, if you've been listening to this show since episode 1. First of all, thank you for continuing. But secondly, you've certainly heard this show evolve quite a bit. On Friday, October 4th, I'll be a part of the Man School show with Caleb Bacon. That's at 8 p.m. Then also at 9 p.m., going to be a part of the Keith and the Girl show, which is about bombing on stage. My specialty. The third thing is I'll be a part of the Erin McGathy's podcast, a brilliant podcast called This Feels Terrible. I've appeared on the show. My episode has not aired, but I'll be part of her live show at the LA Podcast Festival, and I'll be doing other stuff that weekend as well. So I hope that if you're in Los Angeles, you decide to stop by and check it out. I mean, just a great opportunity. For what you have to pay, you're going to just see amazing stand-up comedians, amazing podcasts live. I'll just be hanging out with everybody else, probably at the bar. So join me there, and I'll fill you in on all of my latest woes in the transition. I feel like I'm in the transition business, transitioning from a thing that I used to do into now something that's a whole new territory for me, because I really feel that like what I used to do, the job of so-called film critic, it's a dead job. It's a job that basically, with the passing of Roger Ebert, I think that he was the last great one. And I feel like with him that job is just, it's dead. It's over. It's gone. The film critic is dead. And I feel that what's replaced it is the internet. The internet has replaced it, for good or bad. I think that you'll read a lot of clever people talking about movies. There's the film critic Hulk I like on occasion, and of course my friends at Film Threat always with what they're doing, writing about indie movies you wouldn't read about anywhere else at filmthreat.com and on their Twitter at filmthreat. But so I feel that I feel the internet's kind of replaced all of that. But another thing that's happened is television is better now than it's ever been. Television now, I almost like, someone asked me, hey, would you start a movie show? Would you want to start a movie review show? And I don't know that I could. A movie review show, I feel like you'd need a show that reviews or discusses all of these things. And I'm not sure if it should necessarily, I like getting the opinion of, say, a comedian or someone who's an internet critic, or just like a variety of opinions I find to always be interesting. But TV is better now than it's ever been, except for if you're listening to this now and you have not seen the season finale of Dexter, tune off now. So this is a spoiler alert for you guys. I despised the season finale. I thought it was awful. I don't think they needed to bring back Hannah. I thought that was sort of lame. They kill off Deb for no reason because they don't know how to handle her character. It seemed like sort of a setup it just seemed like a cliffhanger for another season. I was really disappointed with Dexter. Dexter's now a lumberjack, and Hannah and Dexter's son, Harrison, are off in Argentina. What? That seems more cliffhangery for another season. I think maybe Michael C. Hall is angling to get another season on Dexter, which would be good because then they could end it in a good way. This is really dissatisfying. It's dissatisfying in a way that I'm not even angry enough to. I just think it just went out with a whimper. Conversely, Breaking Bad is the best show on television, and I'm not going to be discussing anything specific about that, except for my theory about how the show is going to end. And again, this could be spoilery, but I want to document it before the season finale of Breaking Bad ends in less than a week. I want to document my theory because then I can go back and tell you if I was right on my Breaking Bad theory about how the show's going to end. Here's how I believe the show's going to end. Walter White is now backed up in a corner, right? Everything's against him, right? His wife's about to go on trial. He's got these insane drug dealers that kind of took over his business, and they killed Hank, and now he wants revenge. Here's what I think is going to happen. Walter's going to get everything. He is going to get his money back. He's going to get his revenge against the dealers. Skyler is going to get off. He's going to get off. In the process, he will lose all that is dear to him. His punishment, Walter White's punishment, is that he will live. Everyone he cares about will be dead or will be in a situation where it's irreconcilable. So I think the obvious ending would be, okay, Walter White dies. He dies. He gets killed. Heisenberg, Walter White, dead. I think that's too easy. I think that the more poetic ending is for him to have survived all of this insanity and all this money and have nothing to show for it. Every person he cares about, he's destroyed. That's my prediction for the ending of Breaking Bad, and it's I don't know. Well, at least Walking Dead is upcoming. We've got Mad Men coming out. I don't know. You couldn't just, if someone was going to start a movie review show now, I just don't know that there's just too much good television out there to talk about, which explains all these sort of wrap-up shows that we see gaining in popularity. You know, some of those are really good. Some good ones on the internet too. All right, let's get to this week's Crash. Hang Out With Me is the podcast done by none other than comedian Myq Kaplan. Myq Kaplan, M-Y-Q. That's how you spell his name. First of all, brilliant on his part, because a lot of people named Mike, as I pointed out. If you're from Michigan, you know about 7 people named Mike. You know, throw a rock in any bar, you'll hit 15 people named Mike. In any case, Myq Kaplan, great comic, came over to my place, PodCRASH Central, here just outside of downtown Los Angeles. The buddy of mine, Caleb Bacon, who does the brilliant Man School podcast, set this whole thing up, and the three of us had a very fun conversation. Before we get to the conversation, quick tip, if you like to register .coms like I do, like I registered celebrityspoop.com, to promote my comedy album, and if you want to support this podcast, you can buy Celebrities Poop, my very first comedy album. It's available on iTunes. It's on Amazon.com at a very low price. If you just want the album, you can get the accompanying book and album only at celebrityspoop.com. It's an instant collector's item. And for a limited time, I'll throw in the PodCRASH fan club kit. Absolutely free. Only available at celebrityspoop.com. Please do that. Support the show. I would really appreciate it. Podcasting is not exactly a full-time job. But another thing, actually, to throw out a quick plug, if you have SiriusXM or if you sign up for the 2-week free trial, I regularly appear as the co-host of a show called Geek Time on Howard 101 with Ralph Cirilla. It's every Friday at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm broadcasting out of the Sirius studios on Wilshire Boulevard. We talk about everything geeky. I've had some great guests recently, including Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad. So you really want to listen to Geek Time. Ralph and I and Ben Bardo and the gang talking about everything geeky. And we're doing actually a special the day after the series finale of Breaking Bad. We're doing a Breaking Bad special live Monday night. So listen for that on Howard 101. You know what? I forgot to get to these plugs, so I apologize. Another plug if you want to support the show. And I always look for these. I actually will just Google coupon codes. GoDaddy.com. How did I register CelebritiesPoop.com? I did it at GoDaddy. Go to GoDaddy.com, enter the offer code PodCRASH at checkout. You get a discount for your whatever website you're registering. So go to GoDaddy.com, use PodCRASH at checkout, that offer code. I will just Google offer codes. I don't buy anything online without using some sort of offer code. There are plenty of them. So if you want to support the show, that would really help me out. Okay, Myq Kaplan came to my place here at PodCRASH Central with my buddy Caleb Bacon, had a raucous conversation. Myq he's a guy who tours a lot. He's been on Comedy Central. He was also on Last Comic Standing, which I was a huge fan of that show. Love Last Comic Standing. His podcast is just fun. I mean, he is very quick-witted. The guy he's a giant book of just like jokes. The guy is like a joke machine, just like one after the other. And this podcast is part of the it's this Keith and the Girl network that's based out of New York City. And the three of us, myself, Caleb, and Myq, had a great conversation. But it was actually right here at my place at PodCRASH Central. So let's give it a listen. It's Hang Out With Me, a Myq Kaplan podcast with special guests. Yeah, you don't seem like one of those bitter, angry comics that's like, why didn't I get that sitcom?
No, I'm I'm a neurotic, happy comic who's like, there's probably a lot of reasons why I didn't get that sitcom. There's that guy, he's great. There's that guy, he's great. I could try to do better and see if I could be more like him, but yeah.
I'm the same way. We're just like, well, I'm a big fan of so-and-so. He probably really deserved it. And I'm just sort of like you were mentioning the middle. It's like, I am safely in the middle. And I feel like what's great about being in the middle, career-wise, is low expectations. The expectations are so low middle, whether it be podcast or other projects you do. It's like, I'm safely making a living in the middle. That should be a podcast, is just living in the middle.
I mean, there was that TV show. Maybe there still is. By the time people are listening to this, it could be gone. Maybe it's an infinite hit for hundreds of years called The Middle. Patricia Heaton, is that her?
Yeah,
here's a podcast spinoff, because Caleb, you started a new podcast. I'm thinking of spinning off a new podcast. What if it's a podcast where all you do is all the things in that 1/3? There's actually no show content. You welcome, thank people for listening, welcome your guests, get in all the plugs, encourage them to do all this social media stuff, tell them about your dates, and then that's it. That's the show. The whole show is support the podcast, but there's no content whatsoever.
That might be what this episode's doing. It's quite possible.
It's the podcast just something where it's all of those moments that you're just trying to get through, where it's just like, well, I'm going to go make a cup of coffee while that person keeps going through their plugs because I'm not going to listen to that.
It's called the pod-podcast cast.
Yeah.
Or parentheses,
Because someone did, I don't know who it was, some comedian did a YouTube channel where all it was the stuff that they do on YouTube channels. They're like, subscribe to my channel, make sure to do this. But that was the whole show. There was nothing else to the show.
Sounds like a great 30 seconds.
Right.
But after that, I'll look for content.
But every episode was just that. And I feel like you could do that. A train just went by.
Yep.
Where I live, I live right by a track.
If you heard that, audience, then you're getting the authentic experience.
To me, that's like a bonus feature.
You got it. Yeah. Hey, a lot of podcasts don't have trains.
A lot of podcasts
it's an Easter egg.
This is the wrong side of the tracks. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the right side of the tracks from here, but we podcast from the wrong side.
Oh, that's right.
And that train, does it take people to the right side from the wrong side? No, it just goes right down the middle. The train can never get you to the right side of the tracks.
The conductor,
train
Patty Heaton.
On the tracks. Hey, look at that.
That's
thing.
Right.
So I'm sorry to bring some substance to this, but
crap.
I will answer the question of...
no.
Real quick, if you just go to MyQKaplan.com
thank you.
now,
I guess that's all the time we have for now. And Twitter, etc.
And make sure to subscribe to the podcast and write a review of this podcast.
We do.
How much you love it. Give it 5 stars.
Yeah.
It helps people discover the podcast, and also it helps boost your ranking on iTunes.
It does. And I'll actually say for newer podcasts, when most people don't know, when you start a podcast, most people don't know what the podcast is or who you are. I'd say in general, anybody can start a podcast. You listening could start a podcast. And when you start it, you're the only one that knows that it's a podcast. You put it on iTunes, maybe you tell your friends, then maybe your friends are listening. So the first few reviews that you get, hopefully they're people that like you, they're only people that know you, they give you some nice reviews. Then as you get more and more reviews, and then same thing with a YouTube channel or Twitter, the more known that you get, the more people learn about you that might not like you, that might not have. So I got my first, I think, 3-star review. I had a bunch of 5-star reviews.
3-star
but somebody gave a 3-star review, and it was something like, Myq Kaplan is funny. The podcast is fun. It had this tone. I mean, obviously, the podcast is funny. Myq Kaplan is funny, but not that fun. I don't know if they said that funny, but they're like, I listened and it was good, but it was honestly.
You can read in the tone.
Yeah.
Just from that, just you doing this read of it. I feel like you could do a whole podcast where you interview the people that review your podcast.
I would love to do it.
Just contact them. There's got to be a way to contact the username.
I wish that there was.
And get them on your show via Skype. I think every episode. Let's do it right now. Let's go on. We're going on iTunes. We're going to find this review and we're going to find this guy.
I mean, whoever that was, if they're listening right now, I mean, we're not going to find their phone number, but please do write in to hangoutwithmepod@gmail.com, and I will have an interaction with you about how you feel about the show and what I can do to help you, whether it be editing out the very conversation that I'm having with and or about you. But essentially, I mean, something else that he mentioned in that one review was he talked about.
Wait, do it in the tone, Myq. I don't
do
want
it in the tone. You got to do it like you were the guy's voice.
He's like, I understand. Yes, you want us to give you 5-star reviews, but you don't talk down to your listening audience. I'm looking at you, Jesse Thorne. He said that in a review of my podcast. I'm looking at you, Jesse Thorne.
To be fair, he was sitting next to Jesse Thorne when he wrote it.
I don't think he was.
Possible?
That would be, if he was, then I apologize, and I didn't understand. It was not at all clear. It seemed as though you were blaming me for things that you don't like about Jesse Thorne, which are also things that are probably fine that I'd have no problem with. But Jesse Thorne, the proprietor of another podcast and whole podcast network, maybe many podcasts.
I look at you. You have been on so many podcasts. I don't think I can even find your podcast.
I understand.
But I'm finding a bunch of you on podcasts.
Oh, I do. Well, that's why I started this podcast, because I loved going on people's podcasts, and I was like, how can I do it all of the time?
And then you have guests on from those shows.
I do. It's fun. I mean, that's the thing, is I enjoy that. When you say to me, I seem like not an angry, bitter comedian, there are definitely times when I am.
We'll find some anger.
Oh,
we'll find it.
I mean, honestly, when I'm with people, when I'm with people that I like, when I'm with people that I choose to be around, which is when I'm recording my podcast, ideally when I'm at comedy shows, most of my life.
So Pygmy Rhino says, Pygmy Rhino says, not trying hard enough.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Yep.
Oh, Pygmy Rhino, please. call in.
You know, and do you know what?
It's funny, but it's not that funny.
I told you the truth.
In the episode I listened to, the topics were doing comedy, how the guests know each other, things they don't really remember about each other, and how people shouldn't give reviews less than 5 stars on iTunes. The last one is becoming a pet peeve of mine. Podcasters need to stop bad-mouthing their listeners, even if it's done jokingly. I'm looking at you, Jesse Thorne, so here's your 3-star review. I'll maybe listen to another episode and edit my review if I feel so compelled.
I really like the voice you gave to it.
He would make a great guest. I feel like he would make a great guest. But all the other reviews are outstanding show.
Yep.
Myq is one of my favorite comics and podcasters. A lot of fun. Awesome podcast. Bonita. Get double the fun. Very smart, very funny. These are just the highlights. I'm just giving you the highlights.
Oh, here's another one. You're no Jesse Thorne. What is he?
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No,
these are all good. You got nothing to be ashamed of. You got the one. That's not even. I've got some negative reviews. I mean, I've got ones where people gave 1 star and were basically like,
was it Pygmy Rhino?
It wasn't Pygmy Rhino, but it was definitely. I know it was a guy that I got in some Twitter war with. It's definitely some trolls.
It was Little Person Hippo, I think. Yeah.
Little Person Hippo.
Aboriginal elephant.
But that's funny. I feel like the thing is this though. I have not seen your podcast in the top 10 comedy podcasts.
It's a newer podcast.
It's a newer podcast, but you know, I have to
I'm
ask,
doing my best.
Why are you not in the top 10?
Pygmy Rhino.
Am I the person to ask that?
I'm asking you.
I don't have the answer to that.
Maybe you're not angry
Listeners.
enough. You gotta want it.
Listeners,
I feel like you gotta want it.
but this person just told me not to badmouth the listeners, and here I am about to be.
You gotta want it. Here, look.
Get me in the top 10. Put it in the top 10, listeners.
I've never been on Last Comic Stand.
Give me some tea.
People don't know who I am as a comic,
Sure.
right? I mean, I feel like my stand-up career is sort of a hobby more than anything else.
Fair enough.
All right, so it's
But
like,
your
I
podcast
haven't-
has been in the top 10.
It's not been in the top 10.
Oh, okay. I thought that was
I think
the-
the highest rank I got was like in the top 50.
Okay.
But when an episode comes out, it'll rank in the top 200.
I thought that was what the story was like.
No.
You've been on all these things. You've been
No,
on
what I'm saying
TV.
is-
You've been
no.
so famous,
What I'm
and here
saying is-
I am, a nobody, beating you.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't have that kind of cred. You've got that cred, and I feel like you have to represent us, the middle. You have to represent those middle podcasts reaching for the top. Because to me, I look at those top 10 podcasts, and I think to myself, what if this were the movie business? What if those podcasts were movies? It would be like having the same movies in the movie theater at your local ArcLight or Man's Chinese or whatever. It's like all those movies are in the theater all year. It makes no sense.
I mean,
someone from the middle has
right.
to break through. An independent podcast like yours, Myq Kaplan, you have to break through. You have to get mad. You have to want it. Fuck Mark Maron. Fuck Corolla. Fuck Kevin Smith. Fuck Bill Burr. I don't mean actually fuck them.
Well,
because
no,
that
that's
would
how
be
you get to the top.
but you've
I'll
got
sleep
to
with all those.
get to the top. You have to do whatever it takes, and that's you got to get angry, man. Myq Kaplan, you got to get angry. You got to represent us guys in the middle. One of us has to make it to the top, and you've got the best shot. And the only way you're gonna make it is if you represent us to the top. Myq, you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Let me tell you, honestly, like where the podcast game is now is obviously very early in the years of podcasting. Like it's in the first decade of podcasting being a thing.
But it really is established. Like those top 10 podcasts just do not ever move.
It is, but that's very similar to say, like, I mean, and this is not an exact parallel, but when comedians say, like, who don't have a podcast, are like, starting a podcast now would be so difficult, not to start it, but to get it to rise because of, like you said, this saturation of the rich get richer, the listened get listened to more as people discover podcasts. Oh, which one is the best? I'll listen to that one. Or which one is the most listened to? That must be the best. I'll listen to that one. Like back when television started, say in the 50s or the 60s, when there were only 3, if not only 3 major channels, maybe at a point there was only 3 channels, you would pick one, you'd be like, oh, this is the show we watch. We watch My 3 Sons. We watch Donna Reed. We watch Mr. Ed. We watch Get Smart. We watch, and so there were only a few shows, so 30% of the country was watching one, 30 was watching another, 30 was watching the third. Everybody watched all the ads, and that's what happened. different. And now, like when people are like, there's so many podcasts, why should I even bother? Well, think how many TV shows there are now, because obviously 30% of the country is not watching anything except for maybe the Super Bowl, maybe the finale of something major, maybe, but that's, and this is even compared to just 10 years ago when 30 million, 40 million people watched Veronica's Closet, and now, like that, like the numbers that shows that got canceled back then had would be, like 30 Rock would love to have them now, Community would love to have them now,
Sure.
But because now everything's so fragmented, and even on TV, like a million people watch something and it stays on the air, depending what channel it's on, FX or AMC. Like they don't need they're not getting 50 million.
ESPN.
Yeah,
that's another channel.
Exactly. I love Breaking Bad on ESPN.
What you're saying is that consumers have more choices today.
And so because where TV is now is 50 years ahead of where TV was 50 years ago. I think that's the math is definitely.
There's like 1,000 channels on my DirecTV.
Exactly. And so you're like, obviously you're not watching everything, but you can find out about whatever you'd be like, what's this?
Although what I seek out is programming. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't know what shows I'm watching are on.
That's true.
I just like DVR it and I'm like, whatever, channel 354. I don't know.
But that'll happen, and that is what's going to happen, and what is happening, I think, with podcasts is like obviously there are podcast networks. Like if you know the Nerdist network, you're like, oh, I know the Nerdist.
What is the Nerdist?
Chris Hardwick.
Oh.
Are you familiar with Chris Hardwick?
No.
He's a human being who created the Nerdist podcast, and then it became a Nerdist network and empire, and now he has YouTube channels
like I know all the
and television programs.
Around.
Are you serious that you don't know Chris Hardwick?
No.
Oh wow! Like because this could have been a great character because he's
a character.
He is one of the he is maybe one of the most famous, successful podcasters out there, and that's the thing is because the most famous
is this
podcaster.
Logo a triangle?
I don't know.
I think I've seen the logo.
I know his face, but he is he sold his podcast network to the people that own Star Wars. Does that sound plausible or recognizable?
To George Lucas?
I'm not sure. I know George Lucas is one of I think.
Is he in the pod game?
If it's not true, start a rumor.
Well, he's definitely done well for himself. He's created a business, an empire, and so he has the Nerdist flagship podcast itself, but then there's a number of podcasts, sort of also under his Nerdist umbrella. Same thing, Earwolf.
Why don't you have an umbrella? The Myq Kaplan umbrella.
There is an umbrella. This podcast is one of several on the Super Cool comedy podcast network. There's as of this recording, there are 4 shows, and there may be more in the
What
future.
are the other shows, just in case when I'm not listening to yours?
There's one called Sharon Spell is a comedian who has a show. I'm not sure the exact name of her show, but it could be the Sharon Spell Show. I'll say it that it's either in quotes the Sharon Spell Show or not in quotes the Sharon Spell Vehicle Podcast.
Right.
There is a show called Iconoclash where I believe
With Sharon Spell.
Yep, exactly. Sharon Spell does everything. I don't know how I got this one.
Show later?
My name is actually Sharon Spell. So yeah, it's a character that I do named Myq Kaplan, but my born name. That's not a mistake.
Well,
way to say that.
identity.
Yeah, yes, my born identity. Yeah, is the supremacy of Sharon Spell. And there's the show Iconoclash, and then there's one called Sports Abuse, which is a sports comedy podcast where the hosts all get more and more either drunk or high as the episode goes on.
Do you do those things?
I've not been on that show, but I do drink and or get high sometimes.
You do.
But as a vegan, you're limited.
Yeah, I do not drink if somebody's like, hey, you gotta torture
beer?
This thing, and yeah, I do not drink beer.
Beer.
Because that sounds like more like a cross between barf and beer.
Right. I wouldn't drink that.
I think beer would make me barf. And it would sound like barf. Yeah.
So those are the other podcasts that are part of your network.
Yeah. So there are networks, and then so there are people who might. I know I have a friend, Baron Vaughn, whose podcast Deep Shit is on the net, which is I think a wonderful name for a podcast because it's like we talk about deep shit or we're in deep shit. It means two things. I would have
thought the first one.
It's both.
Yeah.
I mean, I think mostly he's talking about deep items, but
will he set up like a podcast where there's some predicament you have to get out of while you're podcasting? It's like, oh, we're in deep shit.
I think that he doesn't do that explicitly, but he does set up. He says, "What topic do you want to?" Each episode has like a theme topic, and then he, with another comedian or guest, goes through that topic for an hour to 2 hours. And
what's our topic? I feel like we could use a topic.
We'll get there in a second. Our topic is what's our topic?
I want to let's have a topic for your show.
We'll get there. Well, I'll finish.
No, I'm thinking. I think that would be a good. We should try it.
By the end of the show, we'll have a topic.
Oh, okay, good. Not before the end though, because then we can talk about it.
Absolutely, we'll get. But I'm saying definitely by the end.
Okay, good.
Definitely, and and maybe if we don't get to it in this episode, we'll do it in the bonus episode. But Baron Vaughn, his podcast is, I believe, on Bill Burr's network. So people have found Baron because they like Bill Burr. Like, oh, Bill Burr, I like Bill Burr. What else do we got here on this website? On this, so Bill Burr has a channel or a brand or whatever the case is. So obviously in 50 years, I think podcasting will have gone even farther than TV went in the past 50 years because technology is obviously. I don't even want to finish that sentence because I don't know what it is.
Well,
obviously.
look, I read Pygmy Rhino's blog. I know all this stuff. It's covered.
Pygmy Rhino. Pygmy? Yeah, I'm not even going to say it right.
Your worst review was 3 stars. That's pretty good.
So far.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, he still likes you.
I'm funny.
Not me.
I'm funny. But who's that funny? Like, look, we can't all be that funny.
He should all change the review just from the standpoint that we've talked about him so much.
But he might not even. He said he might listen to another one.
Do you name your episodes? You should name this episode
I do.
Pygmy Rhino.
Yeah.
Pygmy Rhino.
I'm going to name it Pygmy Rhino.
Pygmy Rhino.
Yeah.
Yes. Pygmy Rhino. Yes.
It's a hip-hop MC.
Name the episodes after your review. The people.
I very well. I definitely do. If I haven't at this point named them all, there will be a blog up with show notes of of a sort of summary of what went on. Mostly for me, for other people if they wanted to. But so, what did I talk about? I don't want to repeat myself. I don't know. You obviously talk into microphones for a living as well. But as a comedian, the job is sometimes to I said that. I'll say it again to these people, again to these people. But when you're recording things, you're like, let's say it once and then say a new thing.
Yeah. But it's true.
But the point being that ideally, Baron is getting hits because of his association with Bill Burr, which is great. Baron's
Chris
great.
and I are both on the same podcast network.
What is that network?
Right.
It's called the Sideshow Network.
Perfect.
It features shows from such ethnic types as Tommy Chong, and, George Lopez, and Pablo Francisco, Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm trying to name all the non-white people.
But then you also have white people, right?
Zane Lamprey. Yes,
you guys seem white. You guys aren't ethnic, are you?
We are in the minority on our network.
Brian Callen, he's got some tan a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Even your hair is white, Chris.
That's true.
Which is, I think,
as white as you can get.
It's super. I like, because your face is young. You have a young face and white hair, which I used to work with a guy like that really confused me.
Was his name Steve Martin?
No, he went by Paul, but I think I know who you're talking about.
We called him the jerk.
Yes, yeah. I worked with this real jerk. He got white hair and everything. But yeah, podcasts are going to be found by more people. Like right now, the number of people that watch TV is massive. The number of people who listen to podcasts is minuscule. So there will obviously people there.
Is there a market for a podcast that talks about podcasts?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to do this on every episode.
I know. What's the topic?
Okay.
Let's get to a topic, today's topic. I see all your show outline right here.
Absolutely.
It's between your legs.
Yep. Yeah. It's, I have it tattooed on my dick. And no pants, obviously. It's a glow in the dark. It goes through my pants. There's a lot of things going on.
You know what? That was funny, but it wasn't that.
The names of comedy clubs are frequently, something
Comedy
laugh
cellar.
plus building, or a room in building. Attic, cellar, studio, hut, shack, comedy shack.
Yurt.
Look, yeah, I think I've proven the thing I said. So, yeah, look, you guys are looking at me as though I didn't prove it or that you didn't want me to do. Look, this show's called The Comedy Proof. And this show is comedy proof. There's no way comedy can get in here.
Impenetrable. That's our topic today, right?
Absolutely. But so at Bloomington, to answer your question of whether I do crowd work, it was they've curated like a wonderful comedy environment. Like the comedians that they get there, and they've fostered the audience for those comedians. They're like the owner's like he's like a really big comedy like fan. He's a comedy nerd. He listens to comedy podcasts. He's on the he knows everybody. He would know the Nerdist. I'm not saying that.
I actually know the Nerdist. I was just messing with
playing a character.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist when I just said no. I totally bought it. I don't think you know me well enough to know.
I do not know you, but you
did
did seem. I honestly, it would have been my guess initially that you were joking, but then you did play it very straight.
Yes,
it was also a comedy bit without humor. Just to
exactly.
further prove that this podcast is comedy proof.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
It's a comedy-free zone.
Well, anytime you mention a nerd in show business with the name Chris, Mr. Gore is a little competitive, right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like I am. I kind of feel like, I feel like I'm legit. I'm like the real thing when it comes to being a comedy geek.
There's a lot of Batman. There's a lot of Batman in this place.
There's a lot of
I used
Batman and Star Wars.
I used your bat room.
Oh, the bat room. Yeah, my bathroom.
There's a bat robe. There's a Batman bathrobe.
Yeah, among other things.
I love it.
I'm incredibly OCD, so I don't like advertising, so I take packaging. It's like if something's like shampoo, I will take the sticker off the shampoo bottle. This is not meant to be funny.
No,
this is meant to show that
that's the topic, not meant to be funny.
Some form of mental illness, which is I don't like if I bought a t-shirt from The Gap and it said The Gap on it, I would never wear that t-shirt because I'm thinking, I gave you money for a shirt. I'm not also going to advertise.
Yeah. You want me to wear a Gap shirt? You give me money.
Yes, you give me money or give me the shirt for free. I will wear the shirt that
you
says... You
subscribe to the NASCAR business model.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like if I'm gonna have a logo on me or in my home, it's...
in me.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I like the things I like, okay? I happen to like Batman, Star Wars, and comics and nerdy stuff.
Sure.
So this is what I want to surround myself with. So I'm so OCD. You can go back and notice it in more detail. I will take the labels off of the shampoo. I will peel them off meticulously. And then I will take a sticker that I have bought from the sticker store. Yes, it exists in LA. It's right outside the Grove in the farmers market.
Great.
There is a store. It's called Sticker Planet that I frequent. And I'll take a Batman sticker or something else I like. I will put it on the bottle. And I know what's in it. It's shampoo and conditioner. I don't need the advertising to constantly sell me. So is this... I think there's a sickness. There's definitely a sickness. Well, and I will do this with all things because I just don't want to I don't want to promote that thing. Like, I already gave you money. You need to give me money if I'm going to keep your logo on my stuff.
Batman, one of our sponsors. Does Batman give you any money?
No.
Okay, well.
But I like Batman.
He has so much of it, though.
I like what he embodies.
Oh, yeah.
The spirit of Batman.
I would say, I relate to your OCD-ish tendencies. Like, if I had a band, I would call it OCDC.
Oh, really?
That's what I just came up with.
OCD things. Mine is like labels and stuff. It's weird. That's one of them.
I have sort of a completist thing. Like if I buy like volume 1 of something, then I won't want like if I'm in like a used bookstore, like I buy a lot of used books and I like comic books as well. If I'm like I heard this is good, I wanna get all of it. I don't want to
like once you read one and you're hooked, you're like you got to get it all.
Of course, yeah.
Like, so if you were a serial killer, like on an episode of CSI,
I would kill everyone.
You would be called the collector.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, I only like to collect things that are like I don't like to just have things. I like comics. Like I used to collect baseball cards when I was a kid, and I was like, I've got them. I like having them.
You have all of them.
Yeah, but then
except they keep hiring baseball players.
And then they do nothing. Also,
I was a big baseball card guy.
I don't care about baseball cards because I don't care about the information. I care about the people.
Gum.
Right.
I liked the gum was good.
Good.
I liked. You know what? I didn't do baseball cards, but I did wacky packages.
Sure.
I did the wacky packages, and they've come out with more recent.
What's a wacky package?
You don't remember wacky packages?
I'm 15 years old.
Are you Chris Hardwicking us?
Yeah.
No.
Hey. You know what?
No, I feel like
you guys keep talking.
No. Okay.
They're here somewhere. I definitely.
While Chris is looking for his wacky packages, I will finish by saying this little story by saying I will finish our lives. I will murder us with this story.
You're a completist.
Exactly. That'll be. I'm so looking for. If I'm a ghost, I'm going to be pissed. Unfinished business. No CD. But I have to haunt somebody and figure out what went wrong. You know. It is something to do. I do try to live in the moment. That's when you're dead, you can't do that. I try to be dead in the moment. You know, a Zen ghost. Zen Ghost Unchained. That's my new movie I'm working on.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Unless you die before you get a chance to finish it.
That'll be my unfinished business. Once I die, I'm going to work on Zen Ghost Unchained.
Yeah, but do you think you'll be dead, but not that dead?
Myq Kaplan's he's scary, but not that scary a ghost. But I see what he's doing. He could make those chains a little chainy clangier.
That should be the name of your next comedy album. Not that funny. Funny, but not that funny.
But guys, the thing is, and part of my OCD is wanting to get this point finished. They want it, completing every parenthesis, you know what I mean? When I started reading comic books, I was like, oh, I can collect them, but also the point is to read them because they're wonderful. Like, I don't understand, like, I used to in the middle phase of my life, I would get all of the different versions of it's in plastic, I mustn't open it. Superman's dead, oh, this will be worth a lot of money, I'll keep it and not read it.
The noise you're hearing is me finding the wacky packages, but please continue. I don't want to be too bothersome.
Not a problem. But you're only some bother some. Yeah, you're not bother all. You're not even bother most. But like getting the comics, and then now I just read things because I want to read them, because I like the stories. I like the authors.
I'm with you. I like to read it. I don't like to collect it.
Yeah.
So, and also...
Says the guy who's got 850,000 Batman things
all
scattered
right.
behind his head.
These are wacky packages.
Okay.
They're like, what they do is they take marketing from like, whatever it is, right? And they will just do a parody of it. Like, instead of old El Paso re-fried beans, it's old El Gaso re-fried beans.
Oh, okay, like a Garbage Pail Kid.
Yeah,
kind
instead of Mrs. Butterworth's, it's Mrs. Blubberworth's.
Okay, and I'm looking at cards that are also stickers.
Instead of Dunkin' Donuts, it's Drunken Donuts.
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I like that a lot.
It's so it's basically parodies of packaging.
When did these come out? Because I did not have these.
These came out definitely
1991. The top company.
But they went through different eras. I mean, they were around in the 70s, 80s. They definitely.
I just read what said on the card. I'm not lying to anybody.
But they definitely went through like phases, because you can see like some of this stuff. Some of these products are not even around.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, you can look through these. It's
look through. But we'll be done in a moment.
Hey,
look through these. We'll have a couple minutes of dead air.
While we're the podcast. You can sort of look at these while we're looking at them.
Pygmy Rimo's like, I don't think they should have looked at those cards for 10 whole minutes.
I mean, here's a good one. Hobo Cop. What if it's the number one podcast on another planet? Like, somehow the technology, podcasting, just it goes out into the universe.
Yeah, like Africa.
There's a planet. There's a
planet Africa.
There's a planet, say, off in some other galaxy. Mongo, the planet Mongo. And on Mongo, you are the number one podcast on Mongo. And all the Mongoans...
Mongolian.
No. Mongoans.
Mongolians. Mongolians are...
We have those.
Yeah.
I've been to their food court restaurants. Not so good.
Oh,
yeah,
I like a Mongolian barbecue situation where you bring up your thing and you pick out all the vegetables and all the stuff, and then you get sauces, and then they throw it on a grill. That's
it's good in theory, but usually they're shitty stuff.
I've enjoyed it.
Okay, I need your recommendation.
We can agree to. There's one near where I grew up.
I'll never go there. Where's one around here?
There's one in Boston called Fire and Ice.
Well, you go to F&I and get some M.
I think that is a Mongolian barbecue place, a Mongolian grill.
F&I.
Yeah, Fire and Ice. So F&I,
exactly
man.
What we talked about on the main show.
Let's get back to. I actually want to cover. So, is that the way that is that all of your female interactions? Is that you ask somebody out repeatedly, and then?
No, usually it's the opposite. It's like I'm with them and then wear them down. They get, what I mean is that I'm with them and they just wear weary of me is what happens. After a while, they just get sick of me.
Do you know what's funny?
I'm like, I'm happy the way things are as long as they're stagnant like this. Let's just keep it we're on the couch together. It's fine.
Before we started the podcast, we were in your bedroom. You gave us a tour of the place.
Yes, it's true.
And there's this, I think, in my mind, a great analogy of a thing that you were just describing. Like, here's like maybe the normal situation. There's all kinds of ways that you can court a woman, woo a lady, or a man, or any other category of person or non-person.
A pygmy rhino.
Yeah, a pygmy rhino. Listen to the main episode. And so here's the way that we just discussed. Possibly you could, hey, do you want to go out? No. Well, I'll keep at you till I wear you down, and eventually you'll be with me forever. She's like, I don't think so. And eventually you are with her forever. But you find somebody immediately, and you're like, well, let's be together. And then you chip away at she's like,
until they leave, until they run away,
which is just the way that you do your live podcast format.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Many other people will have a live podcast where let's have one guest and then another and another and another and another and another, and then eventually at the end they'll have them all. But you started with everybody on a recent live podcast, and they're like, and now we got to get rid of something. Get rid of you. Get rid of you. Get rid of you.
It was just who had the most interesting answers. So we were just talking about like name your favorite zombie movie and then defend why you think it's the best ever.
And if somebody was like boring,
and then like you could tell the audience liked certain people and didn't like certain people, which is just like any zombie movie, because in a zombie movie you know there are characters you love and there are characters you hate and there are characters you love to hate, but and so that's how they were eliminated, as the audience got to decide who remained on stage.
Did they vote you off at all? Because there could be a clause
eventually. I feel like I was going to get voted off. I was definitely going to get voted off.
And Caleb. So, Caleb Bacon, you are a person. Chris Gore, you are the other person.
I feel like you could change the pronunciation to Bacon.
Sure, I could, but that's fucking stupid, Chris.
No, but it's just like, I like to, because you're a word fetishist, right, Mike?
I wouldn't use the word fetishist.
Okay, well, I have...
masturbate with words.
I got a hankering for words.
Yeah.
I like to mispronounce common words.
Common words, you mean?
Common words,
Yeah.
which really messes with people.
Come on, words!
I once...
That needs a new pair of pronunciation.
I'll be in a restaurant in LA, I just say, yeah, and what kind of cheese do you want on that? Cheddar. And they'll go like, we don't have cheddar. Oh, yeah, you're trying to be clever.
And so you enjoy annoying the waitstaff.
Exactly. Yeah. So you try out your material at open mics or at different things. I like to try out my material just on random people they're the unintended audience. They're the victims.
I understand. Well, here's what I like is I sometimes do endeavor to be humorous to people in real life, but not in the way that they don't know that it's happening. Like in the Cheddar situation,
right.
Like that's a joke for you that then they're like, oh, why did this happen?
Well, what if you had done that previously with the same waitstaff? They're like,
That's
it's
true.
the Cheddar guy. I love when he does his famous...
Yeah.
Maybe, because then you won't be the guy who's doing that thing. You'll be the, hey, remember the Cheddar guy? And like, I love remembering things. You know, that's audiences do often
I'm
love
sorry, I
remembering
totally
things.
interrupted. You were going to Pecan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, but I think this was a fine thing that happened. But yeah, Caleb.
Yes.
You're a person we talked to in the main episode as well.
True.
Yep, and that's all. That's you are. Here's the thing. We discussed how we met. We didn't discuss what you're doing now. We know Chris has podcasts,
Right.
and ideas for future podcasts.
And Caleb, you have a podcast, and you're also a writer.
Sure, I'm working on the TBS sitcom Sullivan and Son.
Check it out. If it's still 2013 when you're listening to this, and June hasn't come yet.
What about on the planet Mongo?
Yeah, they'll be. Do you guys watch the movie Galaxy Quest?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that movie.
It's relevant to the discussion.
Number one in Mongo, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But they think it's real.
It's a documentary, right?
Yeah, the Galaxy Quest
the
documentary.
historical records.
Oh yeah, guys, go back and watch Galaxy Quest or read about it real quick.
NSEA Protector.
Wow, I don't remember those letters.
That's the name of the ship.
I believe
that
you.
They build. NSEA Protector.
It's a hilarious movie with. Do you know that?
It's so funny. Rainn Wilson he's in that.
He is.
He's one of the 4 aliens that shows up at the beginning and kind of recurs throughout.
My favorite alien is played by Enrico Colantoni, who I first saw on Just Shoot Me as the bald photographer. Also has played the father on Veronica Mars. Mm-hmm. He has been in is he the lead? He's the lead alien.
He's so good.
Yeah,
even the way that they walk. I mean, they did such a great
the way they speak. Like,
that was so great.
We need your help.
Yeah. So you're doing the voice awesome.
Thank you. That's I don't do
cartoon voices.
I should. If there's anybody out there who's listening and thinking we need somebody to do cartoon voices,
Why isn't it me?
I want you to get angry about why aren't you doing cartoon voices?
I've been
number one.
I've been told I should be angry about the things that I don't have when I've been mistakenly just happy for the things that I do.
Yeah. I feel like you're too happy.
Well,
That's
what
your
other
problem.
voices do you do, Mike?
I
is
do
your real.
Okay, I do a Sean Connery as a librarian.
Sean Connery, take one.
Shush. That's that one. And
Okay, and now you could just put your hand over your mouth, do the Sean Connery, and you'll be Bane. So do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's Bane.
I gotcha.
Well, that's it for this week's Crash. I really want to thank Myq Kaplan and Caleb Bacon for helping set that up. You can follow Myq Kaplan at MYQ Kaplan, KAPLAN on Twitter. You can find Myq Kaplan on Facebook, and of course visit MyqKaplan.com. Also, Caleb Bacon, Caleb Eats Bacon. He's at Caleb Eats Bacon on Twitter, and make sure you also discover his brilliant show. It's Man School, which is actually Man School is actually part of the Sideshow Network, which I'm a part of, and you can go to SideshowNetwork.tv for more of that. Really want to thank you for listening. I hope to see some of you at the Blue Water Film Festival this weekend in Port Huron, Michigan. One of the most beautiful parts of Michigan. It's amazing. It's right on the water, and you can take the bridge over while you're there and go gambling in Canada. Right over the bridge. A lot of fun. If you've ever been to Port Huron, just one of the most beautiful parts of Michigan. So I hope to see you all there. And I hope to see you at the LA Podcast Festival. That is going to be a blast. I'm going to be rolling around there doing a lot of things. I mean, I'll be on shows, but I'm just there really to hang out and connect with fans. It's like Comic-Con for podcasts. That's what I'm going to say. The LA Podcast Festival. And you can get more information about that, lapodfest.com. Check that out. And if you want to follow me, I'm at that Chris Gore. Follow the show at PodCRASH Show. Facebook.com/PodCRASH. Please give us a 5-star review on Facebook and get the PodCRASH app. It's free, available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and Kindle devices. And one last thing that I got to say is let's get out of here.
Wait. We might be able to lose him in this cloud here.
Oh, I don't think that's a cloud.
Balthazar, what is this?
This is the Tothian minefield left standing from the Great War of 12185.
Oh, God!
Hey, if you're still listening to this, you're probably a lot like me. You're the kind of person who's obsessed with comedy podcasts and listen to them probably too often. And you discover guys like Myq Kaplan. And if you do that, then you and I are a lot alike, and I like you. So for that, you shall be rewarded. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to PodCRASH with that Chris Gore, 5042, Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. You will be rewarded with the PodCRASH Fan Club Kit. It's absolutely free. And if you keep listening, you'll hear a bonus piece of audio from Hang Out With Me, with the Myq Kaplan podcast. Later.
I was born in 1978, but I was in October, so I was conceived in 78 as well. So 70. If you think, where was Myq Kaplan in 1977? Glimmer in the eyes of nobody. Because I don't believe, that doesn't make any sense, right? They don't, there was just a glimmer in your father's eye. They're like, oh, your dad was about to have sex with your mom. And that's where you were in his eye. He was eyeing your mom with you about to...
Maybe the one eye, but not really.